Hello and welcome to another episode of Unboxing with Paul. And today, I'm very excited to bring you the iPhone 13. Let's take a look at it. Released well over a year and a half ago, I'm a little late to the party. However, I was noticing that I haven't done an unboxing for the iPhone 13, so here we are. As always, Apple has superb packaging with the outline of the iPhone embossed on the outside. Again, if you run your finger along the edge, you will be able to feel the outline of the device. And the good thing about Apple is that every single time you can see the actual size of the device by putting it side by side. What I mean by that is that if you were, oftentimes people always ask me, well, how big exactly is this iPhone when I don't have it on display or when I don't have another one ready to show them? So I just tell them, hey, go ahead and put your phone out, put it side by side, and that's exactly how much bigger or smaller your phone will be compared to the iPhone. Because again, Apple does true to life sizes on the outside of their boxes, which is something nice to have. This time around, Apple has also continued its earth-friendly packaging by including even more paper in the box. It's going to be even less glossy materials, and on the inside, we're going to have more paper instead of plastic this time around. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing opened. Second peel. Now this is a beautiful blue color. As you can notice, this is actually a much lighter, paler color compared to the one that is featured on the iPhone 12. The iPhone 12 is a much deeper, much more intense navy blue color compared to the iPhone 13. And more than anything, what we also see this time around is on the back of the device is that instead of our two cameras being positioned both vertically, this time we have them, kind of diagonally from each other. So right away, whenever you have somebody, like this, holding their phone, you're going to be able to tell, oh, by the way, this is an iPhone 13, or that's an iPhone 12, that's an iPhone 11, based on the design language. And again, to reiterate, Apple is going with their all plastic packaging by being earth-friendly. I'm going to put this aside. And as you already know, in the box, we only get a Type-C to Lightning cable, an Apple sticker that is on wax paper instead of a plastic, and we get a very brief, somewhat legal and safety, as well as a cheap twisted wire SIM ejector tool that I'm sad to see coming from Apple because, this phone is $730. It's not $100, not $200, it's $730. That is premium device territory, and for that, at least I would expect a very nice SIM ejector tool, not this cheap twisted wire one. This time around, our iPhone 13 comes in at 174 grams, so about 10 grams heavier than last year's iPhone 12. The main upgrade of the iPhone 13 versus the iPhone 12 is that we will have 120 gigabytes of storage instead of the 64 gigabytes as the base model that we used to have with the 11 and the 12. And in addition to that, we're still keeping the same 4 gigabytes of RAM, so there has not been an increase on the RAM. We're still going to have that same 12 megapixel sensor on the camera. However, the lenses on the cameras are just a little bit larger, so it ought to give us a better quality on the image, both on the rear and the front facing cameras. Still the same capability, still the same 4K 60 frames per second or slow-mo at 240 frames per second at lower resolutions. Same thing with the front, you ought to be able to do 4K 60 frames per second, but no slow motion with the front facing camera. I do realize this may not be the fairest of comparisons since this is an iPhone 11 and this is an iPhone 13, but again, you can just see right away how much bigger the camera lenses are on the 13 versus the 11. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set up Face ID. And then, of course, you can do the quick start. That way you can go ahead and set up your iPhone and have all the relevant details go straight to it. Of course, we do have Qi charging. We do have MagSafe available. We have a lot of things in this one, but I'm not really going to spend a lot of time with those as, again, we are having a lot of the very same things that we had for the iPhone 12 already being included in the iPhone 13. More than anything, the main advantage is the higher storage that we get. Because with the iPhone 12, we already had an AMOLED screen. We already had a nice resolution. We already had 5G. We already had a lot of things. But again, it's that jump from 64 to 120 gigabytes that's really making this different. Another big difference with the iPhone 13 versus the 12 or even the 11 is that now we have a very small speaker grill up at the top versus the one on the iPhone 11. They may be similar in size, but again, we can see this time around, it's moved all the way to the top. Like literally, it is almost at the edge of the phone versus on the previous iterations, it was just a little bit further down, as you can see, but this time it's been moved all the way to the top of the screen. And then last but not least, the very main thing that is also being upgraded or being introduced into this one is that we have now, instead of our usual, photo, video, and the rest of the modes, we now have cinematic mode, which says it adds a beautiful shallow depth of field and focus transitions to your videos automatically. Your video depth information is stored and allows you to later change the depth of field effect. So again, to reiterate, in cinematic video, we can go ahead and it says that we can add a beautiful shallow depth of field and focus transitions to our videos automatically, and that our depth of field will be saved for further videos later on. So let's go ahead and see what that is about. Oh, wow. Okay. Look at that. Wow. So it's keeping an object in focus while making everything else around it look blurry. Holy cow. That's nifty. So, okay, let's shift it. Let's shift over to the iPhone. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, that is dope. So usually the problem with having an iPhone is that it'll usually autofocus, like I just try to do right now, and it'll immediately try to focus on faces, and that's what it'll keep in your depth of field view. Wow, that's pretty cool. So cinematic mode. Okay, all right. And of course, I'm going to put that up there for you guys to be able to, see maybe side by side or whatever, but that was pretty cool. That was a pretty nifty upgrade, or a pretty nifty feature that we have added in there now. Let's go ahead and see what our portrait mode looks like on this upgraded phone. So then we're going to put it side by side from our current iPhone 12, and then cheese. So then that was a selfie in portrait mode on the iPhone 13. And then let's go ahead and see just how much better that selfie camera has gotten. We can go ahead and turn it up all the way to 4K, 60 frames per second. And then this is what video looks and sounds like on the selfie camera of the iPhone 13. Man, that is a crispy camera. You can see that I need to get my eyebrows done again. And I have an awful lot of freckles. Holy cow. Man, that camera is so crisp. A little too crisp if you ask me, but that's a pretty good camera. Let's go ahead and find out what it looks like on the back. It already looks so good. You know what? Let's do it in cinematic mode. Let's go ahead and see. So then this is what video looks and sounds like on the main camera of the iPhone 13 in cinematic mode. You guys be the judge of how good or bad this camera quality is just as soon as we upload it into the MacBook.
Perfect score in difficulty. Shall we do it, stranger? I heard shots fired. Pardon me, but that was right on the nose. Excellent coordination. That's spotted. Pardon me, but it's time you take a break. Gotcha. On the nose. There's still half of the field remaining in this movie. Everybody's fighting hard for the title. I heard something.
So go ahead and let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this device? I think that for its current price point at $730, this is one of the best bangs for your buck that you can get, because you're getting one of the latest devices, you're getting a 5G device, you're getting 120 gigabytes of storage. The only thing that you're not getting in this that you would get with a 13 Pro Max or a 13 Pro or even a 14 Pro is the 120 hertz refresh display, because this time around we only have 60 hertz. So if you are one of those people that needs the extra fluidity in their screen, if you need a little bit more faster refresh rate, again, for either video games or you just like the way the animations look once they're at a higher frame rate, go ahead and go for it. But for me, I don't really use that. I literally just use these phones as cameras. So again, for me, this is the best bang for my buck, because I jumped from 64 to 120 gigabytes of storage. And this time around, I'm also going to be able to do cinematic mode. So I'm very, very excited to see if that'll play into my setup, what I can or can't do without it. And let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.